What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and this is an unboxing and review of the Nerf Alpha Strike HAMMERSTORM. All right, you guys, so I was able to pick this up actually at my local Target. Just happened to wander down the aisle and spot this thing and figured, you know, it looked good enough, I guess, for a review. I haven't really checked out anything in the Alpha Strike line because it hasn't really been super interesting to me, to be honest, but this one looks much better than the first iteration of Alpha Strike blasters. We don't have the skeletonized look as much with this one, so that is a big improvement in my opinion, so that's awesome. This is obviously a hammer shot reshell somewhat. Actually more like the Negotiator because it actually holds 8 shots, but nevertheless, obviously internally it's probably very similar to a hammer shot, but this thing is massive, guys. This is way larger than I thought it was going to be. It is a very large pistol, so pretty cool looking though, I think, so definitely worth a look, and glad that I was able to find it to review for you guys. So let's go ahead and check the box out real quick. So Nerf wants you to know that they are the #1 blaster brand, and they have been the #1 blaster brand obviously for a long time. They are the leader obviously, but that doesn't mean that others aren't catching up to them, and they definitely are, and I think that's why they stuck that there on the box. Let's keep going with the box. That's kind of irrelevant to me. 8 darts come in the package. Usually other brands that are competitive at this price point give you more than enough darts than just that fill the blaster once. This even has storage for 8 more darts down here, so you would think that they would give you at least twice as many darts, but nope, Nerf isn't going to do that, so that is what it is. We'll go ahead and check out the back of the box. So it just shows you the blaster, tells you that there's an 8 dart storage, you know, 8 rotating cylinder, hammer prime, and it comes with 8 elite darts, elite. Well, it is kind of cool that they're giving you yellow elite darts. I think that's kind of fun, but you know, let's go ahead and crack this open and see what it's got. All right, you get your blaster and you get your 8 darts. That's it. All right, you guys, so as you can see, this is a very large blaster, but it is pretty thin, but man, that is very, very large. Got our Ultra 2 here, and as you can see, this is a very large pistol, and it is very, very similar size, at least in length. Thickness, maybe the Ultra 2 has it beat there, but yeah, that is pretty crazy, to be honest, that this is that big. I mean, way bigger than a hammer shot, so this is definitely filling a different role than obviously the hammer shot does. This is supposed to be a fun blaster. It even has an in-strike attachment on front, so that's really cool. They've added that, and I think that definitely is fun for kids. This is definitely something that's not supposed to be super practical, at least in terms of like a pistol. Still could be used in a pistol round. We'll find out in terms of performance if it's worthy of that, but my guess is it's going to perform very similar to a hammer shot, so if you use a hammer shot in a pistol round, I'm guessing this might not be a terrible option. We do have a in-strike attachment rail on top and on bottom here, so that's pretty cool. You can put in-strike attachments. Any of your attachments you have from other blasters can go on there. The prime is right here. It's a hammer style prime, so we prime that with our thumb, pull down to prime the blaster, and then we pull the trigger to fire. Pretty cool. This is a little bit hard to get to. I feel like kids with very small hands may not be able to do this one-handed. They may need to use their offhand to prime. So something to think about if you're buying this for a small child. The grip is actually pretty darn large and not too uncomfortable, not too bad at all. Reminds me a little bit of the Doom Lines line with the grip, which is interesting. I'm wondering if if this was a carryover from that line or they just kept the design similar. I'm not positive about that, but it does have a similar look, so I could see why some people would think that and why it's possible. Like I said earlier, we have 8 spots here to hold darts. Not a huge fan of dart storage that goes like this. Usually it's really easy to bend your darts and get them hit and whatnot, but it's there, so that's kind of interesting. We do have quite a few sling points, which is crazy for a pistol to have all these sling points, but kind of interesting. We have one here, we have one here, we have one here, I believe, and we have one there. I think I got them all. So that's 4 sling points for a pistol, which is, I guess, pretty cool. But let's go ahead and load this baby up and see what it's got. All right, so I went ahead and threw a few darts in the dart storage just to kind of give you an idea how that looks and see how it feels. But honestly, it's a pretty loose fit. Not as tight as fit as I was expecting. You know, I'm not going to judge it too much on the Adventure Force waffle darts. These seem to be extra loose in here for whatever reason, which is kind of strange because I thought the foam on those were a little bit thicker than the Nerf foam, but maybe not. But the Nerf foam still is pretty loose in there. So, I mean, it kind of holds in, I guess, but I wouldn't say that this is super practical and it's a really good way to bend and mess up your darts, but it is there, and I guess it's a kind of a cool thing. Kind of looks interesting, I guess. Loading your darts is pretty interesting. They have these really long channels, so you can load your dart in very easily. It's pretty easy to load, to be honest. You do want to make sure you push your darts all the way in, though, because it did seem to have quite a tight dart fit back here, which is a good thing, but you just have to make sure you fully seat them in. But let's go ahead and fire this thing off. Also makes it hard to spin your blaster with those darts there, but they stayed in. It's just a little weird. Nevertheless, blaster seems to be hitting pretty hard, pretty similar to a hammer shot, so that's a good thing, but we'll go ahead and take it outside, put it over the chronograph in the range, and see if it's really getting the elite performance that we expect. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and put some shots over the chronograph with the HAMMERSTORM. We're gonna obviously shoot off the 8 elite darts it came with. We'll also shoot off some Adventure Force waffles, which I highly recommend. And then we'll also try some Dart Zone Pro darts. We'll see how these do out of the HAMMERSTORM. All right, bearing the wind here we go. 76, that's pretty good. 74. 75. Darts are not accurate. What's new? 74. Duplet 74. 69. Giggity. 67. 73. All right. Now a much more accurate Nerf dart. Adventure Force waffles. Right down the line, 74. 67. 71. 70. 74. 73. 74. One more. 69. There we go. All right, we'll try a few Dart Zone Pro darts. These don't have a great seal in the barrel, so I'm curious how these will do. It'll be interesting to see. Here we go. 68. 68. 67. 63. Still pretty good though, definitely accurate, along with those Adventure Force waffles. The Nerf darts, obviously not so much. Let's check out the ranges. So, Nerf darts, anywhere from 33 was the shortest. We have a few other ones here, Dart Zone Pro and an Adventure Force at 35, along with another Nerf dart, just maybe about 35.5 feet, and this one about the same. Over here, big cluster here between 38 feet and 39.5 feet, with a lot of the Dart Zone Pro and Adventure Force waffles right there, right down the line. Pretty good. We have a few elite darts there too, about 38.5, and this one's about 40. We have a couple here between 41 and 42 feet, right on the line. And we have the furthest were the elite darts that actually flew somewhat straight here. This one's about 46.5. About 47.5, and this one about the same. Let's go back inside. I'll even throw on some in-strike attachments, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, you guys, so I think the HAMMERSTORM performed pretty darn well, better than I expected, honestly, and I don't know, but I feel like it even performed slightly better than the HAMMERSTORM, but pretty on par with that. You know, definitely on par with the Elite average of around 70 FPS. So that's awesome. For a budget blaster, I think that's definitely solid. And I think the blaster actually looks pretty good, especially compared to the other Alpha Strike blasters that I've seen. I've not been really a fan of any of those in terms of looks, so decided to pick this one up. We'll see how many more of those I pick up in the future, but I'm glad they've gone away from the skeletonized grips. That's definitely a good thing, and I think it's pretty cool that they've added that in-strike attachment. I think it's also pretty cool that it comes in this yellow that's very similar to in-strike yellow, so those attachments should coordinate pretty well. I'm not sure how well they'll look on this blaster. We'll check that out in a second, but definitely with other blasters in this line, those colors should coordinate very nicely. So that's awesome. One thing I noticed that's kind of funny is I feel like this logo was supposed to be over here. You can kind of see where it's supposed to have been. You may not be able to tell in the video, but if you see this blaster in person, you can kind of see the outline of this logo right here, and they must have originally planned for this to be a raised logo, is my guess, right here, and then they changed their mind, and then this is not raised at all, it's just flat. Trying to save a little bit of money where they can, and obviously we're not going to have paint on this side of the blaster. I mean, that was just a given, period. Definitely for a budget line blaster though. All in all, I think this blaster is pretty darn solid. 15 bucks, not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't say that's super budget, but for the size of this pistol, I don't think it's too terrible. But it's a solid Nerf blaster. Let's go ahead and throw on some attachments and see how this thing looks. So we'll start with the Recon Barrel. And actually, that doesn't look too bad. That's pretty intimidating. I'm sure the ranges will be decreased now, but that doesn't look too bad at all. That's pretty sweet looking, not gonna lie. I think my cut down one that I did back in the day that's about half that length would look really good. Can't find that at the moment, but yeah, that's an option. Got a Modulus attachment just to kind of show you, because I feel like more people would probably have those nowadays, and that doesn't look too bad, but obviously the white doesn't really coordinate with this blaster, but the grays kind of match, so that's nice, and the orange, not quite the same, but close enough. One of my favorites, that doesn't look too bad. I don't know. I still think the Retaliator, or the Recon, I guess it would be, barrel would be the best in terms of looks. Maybe not practicality, but obviously putting a suppressor or barrel attachment on your Nerf pistol isn't super practical to begin with, but that looks pretty cool. Obviously, we could take things like lights and put them down here from the Recon also. That would be pretty cool, pretty nice look there. So there's definitely a lot of options. I just wanted to point that out, that the yellows match really identically. It's exactly the same. So any of your old yellow in-strike attachments should coordinate very well. So I think that's awesome and pretty darn cool. So honestly, this line is starting to grow on me a little bit. Obviously, Nerf is trying to compete with other companies that sell their blasters for less, and honestly, I don't think this specific one is too bad. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, I'll put a link in the description box below, as always, if I can find one. Obviously, if not, there'll be one when I do find one. And keep an eye out at your local Target, because that's where I spotted this one. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications. And as always, peace out.